Julie Reynolds had always known that life would never hand her anything easily. Growing up in a predominantly white suburb of Portland, Oregon, she was the only black girl in her entire high school. While her family was proud of their roots and history, Julie spent most of her teenage years trying to navigate a world that seemed to place invisible barriers around her at every corner. Her parents, both educated professionals, taught her to speak up, to excel, and to never shrink in the face of ignorance. But the halls of Westbrook High had their own code. It began with the subtle things: group projects where she was ignored, school dances where no one asked her, comments like, "You're pretty for a black girl," that were meant as compliments, but cut deep. Teachers who seemed surprised when she aced a math test or delivered an eloquent speech in history class. The microaggressions were exhausting. Yet Julie kept her head high, earning straight A's, serving as class treasurer, and volunteering at a local literacy program. But no matter how many achievements she racked up, the stares and whispers never stopped. Things escalated during her junior year, when a new student, Emma Wallace, transferred from another school. Blonde, cheerful, and outspoken, Emma quickly became popular. At first, Julie had no issue with her. But then Emma began making passive remarks during class discussions. "I mean, some people just get scholarships handed to them," she said once, glancing directly at Julie. Another time, during a discussion on civil rights, Emma scoffed, "Why does it always have to be about race?" Julie reported these incidents to the administration, but nothing was done. "We didn't hear her say it directly," the vice principal said with a shrug. Julie's parents were furious, but Julie begged them not to escalate it. "It'll only make things worse," she said. She knew how the school worked. She knew who they'd protect. Then came the school talent show. Julie had always loved poetry. It was her sanctuary, her way of expressing the pain, hope, and fury she kept bottled inside. For the talent show, she decided to perform an original spoken word piece titled Invisible Ink. It was raw and unapologetic. It spoke about being overlooked, about walking into rooms where people assumed the worst of her before she even opened her mouth, about being labeled before being known. She practiced for weeks, pouring everything she had into every word. The night of the talent show, the auditorium was packed. Her turn came after a dance routine and a piano solo. As she stepped onto the stage, she could see Emma and her friends in the front row, smirking. Julie took a deep breath. The lights dimmed. Silence fell. And then she began. "I walk through halls where silence screams louder than words, where my name is mispronounced even after a year, where smiles are tight and eyes slide past me like I'm a ghost in full color, like I don't belong here." Her voice shook the room. Her words painted the truth she'd been forced to swallow every day. She spoke about Trayvon, about George, about Sandra. She spoke about being asked if her hair was real, about being told she was too loud, about the fear that clung to her every time she walked past a police officer. The auditorium was silent except for her voice, and in that silence, something shifted. When she finished, there was a beat of stillness. Then someone clapped, then more, then the entire room. Julie walked off the stage, heart pounding. She hadn't done it for applause. She had done it because it was the only way she could breathe. But the response was overwhelming. Teachers, students, some of whom had never spoken to her, came up to her afterward, saying they had no idea, saying thank you. The next morning, however, things took a turn. The school's website had uploaded a video of her performance. It went viral. Comments flooded in, many supportive, but many ugly, filled with slurs and hate. Local news stations reached out. Julie was invited to speak on a panel about racial inequality in schools, but instead of celebrating her courage, the school tried to silence her. "This is drawing too much attention," the principal said. "It reflects poorly on our school. We're going to take the video down." Julie stood her ground. "Number, you don't get to erase this." They threatened to suspend her for violating the media policy. That's when Julie did something shocking. She called a press conference. Standing on the steps of Westbrook High, flanked by her parents, community leaders, and classmates who supported her, Julie addressed the crowd. I will not be silent. Not when so many others are still being silenced. My voice matters. Our voices matter. And if my school won't stand with me, then they're standing against me. The story exploded. News outlets across the country covered it. Julie was invited to speak at forums and universities. She started a youth-led organization focused on racial justice in education. The school board eventually issued a public apology, and the principal resigned. Policies were reviewed, and diversity training was implemented for all staff. Julie's life changed overnight. She went from being the overlooked black girl in the corner to a national voice for change. But she never let it change who she was. She still wrote poetry. She still helped kids learn to read. She still showed up every day, head high, knowing that her worth wasn't defined by what others failed to see. Years later, when asked what gave her the strength to speak out, Julie smiled and said, "The silence hurt more than their words, and I was done being invisible."